Right, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go around.
I think we can do it. First take.
Oh, hi, buddy. What are you doing? Yeah. Come here, bud.
And action.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Merit Circle's first ever keynote. If you're wondering what this room is, it's my office at my home in Maine. It's the place I've been hanging out for the last several months, working with my team at Merit Circle to bring something unique to the gaming landscape. I'm so incredibly impressed with the work the team has done to get us to where we are. So today, we're going to discuss that work, the progress that we've made, and how game developers can start working with the incredible technology that same team has been working so hard on. I'm very excited to dive into that, but I also think it's important to talk about how we got here in the first place. It's been a remarkable journey since the Merit Circle DAO was created in September 2021. That was 2 years ago, and yet we've seen our organization and the industry at large continue to grow and mature. Merit Circle is unique in that it's an ecosystem, not just one game. So we've taken a hard look at where everything related to gaming and Web3 was headed and decided to take a different approach. Today, we're going to talk through everything that's been in the works, what our vision is, and how we can help guide the industry at large. From the inception of Merit Circle, we've always valued transparency, innovation, and putting an effort into building a genuine connection with our community. So, in keeping with that tradition, today I'm excited to show you something completely brand new that's going to bring Web3 capability to games and gamers. We want to build a world where gamers will use Web3 without having to deal with the complexity of the blockchain. So we're going to show you what we've been building, the products you'll be able to use today, and where we're going in the future. We've got a lot to talk about, so grab a snack, sit back, and relax. But first, let's take a moment to talk about how far we've come. It all started with Axie, who managed to capture the world's attention by bringing DeFi into gaming in a huge way. This lit the fuse for Merit Circle's origins, a gaming guild with a network of players across the globe. With so much excitement in this space and so many new opportunities, we wanted to take this one giant leap further, transitioning into a DAO and opening up Merit Circle to a network of passionate builders, makers, and gamers. The hype of the past years has made this a wild ride for all of us, and the DAO has been able to partner with games that we feel have 2 feet firmly planted in the future. As the hype around NFTs and crypto in general has cooled over the last year, we've taken our fortunate position as leaders in this ecosystem to build something that we think is quite literally game-changing. Let me introduce you to Beam. Beam is a blockchain for gamers that keeps games fun while allowing players new forms of ownership never before seen in gaming. But it's not just a blockchain. Beam is an ecosystem that simplifies the complexities of game development and dramatically enhances the gaming experience by putting the focus back on the player, on ownership, on creativity, and enjoyment. So gamers can play games they love, benefit from everything blockchain has to offer without ever saying the word crypto. Some of the best innovations in gaming were born from dissatisfaction with a particular game or the industry as a whole. One thing that we all share at Merit Circle is that we all believe Web3 will be the underlying technology of the vast majority of games in the not too distant future. It's inevitable as this technology finally gives gamers true ownership of what they love most. While looking at the current solutions out there, we were also disappointed and frustrated with what we saw in the market overall. So, we decided to build Beam. A game should still feel like a game, not just a skin for DeFi. So, why Beam? Simply put, because we are all gamers at heart. From engineering to design, from marketing to support, we have all lived and breathed gaming all our lives. We all have our favorite genres, but we all share that feeling of coming home and grinding out our favorite multiplayer game for hours and hours, laughing with friends, kicking ourselves from a loss, and yelling, "Let's fucking go," when you get a clutch victory. But that is not common in Web3. So what we've seen so far is that Web3 takes you out of the game. It removes the thrill of the win. It removes the thrill of the narrative, and it diminishes the intricate story and characters those game developers and designers spend so much time creating. It's no wonder that this stuff has been viewed in such a negative light. You know what else can be a great distraction for game designers and developers? Having to think about the complexities of the blockchain. It's a lot to take on while you're also trying to create a great game. So Beam was built to remove those complexities. While we hope to ultimately serve the gamer, that begins by first serving the game developers. Now, I don't want to start sweatily chanting like Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, but he was right about one thing. Developers, 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 developers. If we can do what we do best, we can allow our favorite creators to get back to doing what they do best, making kick-ass games that are fun to play. If you're familiar with blockchains, you're probably aware that most are general purpose, but the chain that we've created is not. It's solely intended for gaming. As we delve deeper today, you'll see how Beam is not just another chain. We'll show you our unique take on accounts, the Beam mobile companion app available on both iOS and Android. Explore the Sphere Marketplace, the native asset marketplace on Beam. Introduce you to the Beam Hub, our home for gamers on Beam. Introduce you to Beam OS, our first stop for interaction on Beam. And at the core of it all, the Beam Developer SDK, which makes implementation a breeze for developers. When it comes to building any good product, handling accounts or authentication is a key decision that needs to be made early on because it gets integrated into all related products as well. Maybe you've played a game that required an Epic Games login or an Ubisoft account before you could start playing. Many free-to-play games don't require signing up at all to start playing. Last year, an improvement proposal was made for Ethereum around improving the wallet experience for users. Of the 3 solutions proposed, 2 required a change to the Ethereum protocol, and 1 did not. Guess which one won? The academic term for what was proposed is called account abstraction. And while most people refer to this same solution as smart contract wallets, we found that calling them wallets at all just complicated matters. So instead, we've grown fond of referring to them as smart contract accounts, or even more simply, just accounts. Someone once told me that the best way to kill a technology is to allow it to interrupt someone's entertainment. This was a while ago, and they were referring to laserdiscs at the time, but that same mentality holds true today for gaming. We've worked very hard to remove interruptive pop-ups, to limit DeFi lingo at every level, and yet still offer levels of ownership for those gamers that want it. By leveraging accounts in some new and innovative ways, we've been able to create a flow so seamless and so smooth that players won't ever have to know that there's a blockchain behind any of it, unless they want to. Now, we've worked closely with OpenFort over the last few months to help provide the backbone for our solution to this user accounts problem. That's not to say that we have forgotten about the hardcore Web3 users either. For those, like us, that have no problem owning and operating a traditional wallet, we've got you covered. We still want to remove those interruptive pop-ups though, so just one signature to begin your gaming session will be all that's required. And you can end that gaming session whenever you'd like. For the rest of those gamers out there, when the time comes that you think it's worth it to take some ownership over what you've earned in-game, we've built and created a simple way for you to link your in-game account with a social service that you're probably already using, such as Twitch, Google, Twitter, etc. This is yet another step that we have taken to make your gaming interactions with the blockchain easier than ever before. Not all games are fun to play for long periods of time. What we've built with accounts allows gamers to consider taking ownership when they've played a game to the point that it's actually become worthwhile. No one wants to jump through extra hoops to take ownership of something that has no real value. Providing a gamer the ability to opt into owning what they've earned in-game is very important to us. I can't stress this enough. There is no requirement for gamers to take ownership, but we've made a path available if they want it. Leaving your items in the game is the status quo we have today, and plenty of gamers are happy with that. With Beam, a lot of what we've talked about so far has been about the tools we've built for game developers. But all of what we do here is ultimately about the gameplay and the gamer. We've been working on a product that will help to serve both developers and gamers alike. Let me introduce you to the Beam Companion app. This mobile app allows you to link your in-game account, giving you power and control over your gaming experience in a way that only Web3 can offer. We still want you to play a game and not have to think about the blockchain. But we do want you to think about ownership. To connect your in-game profile to the app, first find the Beam QR code in the game you're playing. You can then sign in with a social account, and your game is linked. For gamers, this will allow you to take ownership of your game assets when you decide you want to. And when you do, you'll be able to swap your game tokens, send your in-game items to your friends, and lock up your most precious items when you're not playing. We've mentioned it already, but traditional wallets come with some intrinsic challenges. When it comes to taking ownership with a traditional wallet, you have to worry about that recovery phrase, storing it safely and never losing it. And if you do, you and all your assets are toast. That's a lot to ask anyone, honestly, but it's definitely a barrier to traditional gamers. With the Beam Companion app, we've taken a totally different approach to recovery. When you take ownership, that key is encrypted on your device, and there's no way to ever reveal it. You just never have to think about it. When you want to take this level of control, you will simply need to list what friends' emails you want to use to help you recover the account, should you ever need to. With traditional wallets, you have to approve transactions all the time. Having constant pop-ups to handle during a game is no fun at all. And if you've decided to take ownership with the Beam Companion app, the game will have to ask for your permission to access your items. One time. Once you approve, you can game seamlessly, not having to approve more and more transactions. And when you're done playing, you can end that gaming session to prevent access to your items. It's worth reiterating that you don't have to take ownership, but the option is there if you ever want it. We don't expect everyone to want this level of control, but if you have a game profile that has real value, the Beam Companion app will help you take ownership. While we hope that you'll buy and sell inside the game itself, you can also buy and sell within the Companion app, or, and this is where the next part of our ecosystem comes into play, Beam's native game asset marketplace, Sphere. When it comes to gaming, the biggest promise of Web3 is true ownership. Historically, the items you've earned in a game have been locked to that world. Useful for you maybe, but with no value beyond that game's save or profile. And what gives an item value anyway? It's an easy one. What someone else is willing to pay you for it. If you've been paying attention to Merit Circle over the last year, you're probably aware of Sphere, our game asset marketplace. Everything we do at Merit Circle is around gaming, and this marketplace is no different. Think about an item in a game for a second, like it has an armor rating of 10. Is that good? Is 10 the maximum, or maybe it's 100? Just because an NFT is rare doesn't mean that it's helpful in the game. Even something as simple as that context is completely overlooked today, and it's something that Sphere can help solve. Okay, so that said, Sphere as a web destination to handle your marketplace needs is really its secondary purpose. We're very strong believers that these marketplace interactions should happen in-game first and foremost. To make sure that we can actually deliver on that vision, we've integrated Sphere's APIs directly into Beam. This allows game developers to build a marketplace that makes sense and becomes part of the fabric of that game. Sphere might be the web marketplace, but it's undeniably one of the core parts of Beam itself. Here at Merit Circle, we're going to continue to push Sphere to new heights. Not just the app itself, but the APIs that drive it that will also tie into the Beam Developer SDK. These tools exist to serve game developers, and we're excited to see how Beam gets integrated into these games in a way that you as the gamer don't even realize that it's there. We're also giving game developers creator tools to build out a page for their game's details, helping new gamers understand that link between an individual item in a game and the world of the game itself. We've put a lot of work into Sphere, and we encourage you to check it out. It's worth repeating at this point. We still believe that 90% of marketplace interactions are going to happen inside of the game. But that being said, for transactions outside of games, Sphere is the only NFT marketplace built and designed specifically with games in mind. From contextualizing game assets to discovering new games on Beam, Sphere is your go-to platform for a gaming-focused marketplace experience. Any community needs a town square, and for Beam, gamers can find their home on Beam Hub, serving as a unified platform for gamers to discover, connect, and collaborate, whether you're an early access enthusiast seeking unique rewards or a competitive player hungry for the thrill of esports, all while simplifying the Web3 gaming experience and fostering passionate gaming communities. Gamers are polarized when it comes to NFTs, so traditional approaches to community management often come up short in this new world. But This is where Beam Hub comes in. Whether you're a curator of the best early access games or a veteran of a well-played favorite, Beam Hub will be the answer to that age-old question of, what's next? If we limited the games to just those on Beam, we would be doing you, the gamer, a disservice. We hope to eventually cover all of the games that have on-chain elements, giving you a trusted destination for discovery. When it comes to Beam Hub, we're trying to serve two big gaming audiences at the exact same time: early access players and competitive players. Now, early access is a blessing and a curse. Sometimes you feel like you got ripped off over a game that will never be completed, and sometimes you find a great gem in the making. Being there early has its risks, but the rewards should be good enough to sweeten that pot. Unique items meant only for the early access players. When that early access game that you've been pouring your heart into finally gets popular, owning those extra rare items that are coveted by so many is a very great place to be. Early access has changed the shape of the gaming industry overall, but it still hasn't toppled the king. The reason that esports even exists: competition. If you attended our community event in May, you know that we're fans of leaderboards and tournaments. Beam Hub will start to take on a much stronger focus in this regard, as competing in games, even when it's friendly, is just part of our DNA here. I mean, what good is early access if your voice doesn't make a difference? With Beam Hub, you can discover the greats and avoid the rest. By rating and reviewing games to help your fellow gamers, or by simply giving constructive feedback to the game developers themselves. On Beam, the voice of the player matters. Unified, integrated, and interconnected, you can use your same Beam account across Sphere, Beam Hub, and every other app on Beam. Personalize, socialize, unlock achievements, and truly own your gaming journey. But Beam Hub is more than just a platform. We're nurturing a space where gamers from all over can come together, interact, and collaboratively foster growth. Through Beam Hub, we're hoping to elevate the gamers that drive these passionate communities. And it's these same communities that inevitably help drive the creation of better games. The future of gaming lies in the seamless integration of different platforms and ecosystems. Enter BeamOS, our innovative launcher that ties all of our products into one unified experience. Now, it's not just about convenience. It's about immersion. With BeamOS, we're eliminating the friction and boundaries that gamers often face, and packaging it into a user experience that's both familiar, customizable, and truly yours. Now, every tool, app, and feature will be right at your fingertips through one of the various apps in the Beam ecosystem. Think of BeamOS as your control center, a dashboard that effortlessly connects you with every app on Beam. With just a tap, you can switch between bridging to Beam, accessing Sphere, diving into the Beam Hub, and exploring any future apps in the Beam ecosystem. BeamOS ensures that everything on Beam is together, in a single place that you can call home. At Merit Circle, BeamOS is a core part of our commitment to providing a cohesive, unified, and unparalleled experience on the Beam network. Now, a bit more on that. We envision Beam being available wherever developers want to create their game. Being compatible with as many chains as possible is an easy thing to say, but a much harder thing to achieve. But we had to start somewhere, and after exploring our options, we realized that creating an Avalanche subnet was going to be the best path to start on, and we're very, very grateful we were able to partner with them when we did. We've carefully selected the tech that we have running on top of Beam. We want the best gaming experience, and that requires the best solutions we can get our hands on. Developers and gamers should never have to care what protocol or smart contract extension is being used behind the scenes. We've worked really hard to simplify that development experience. We want to bring that same smooth experience to as many places as we can. Networks need to be reliable, which is reflected in the choices we've made here. We're still exploring our options for the change to proof of stake. This includes how the DAO will vote on changes, who will enact them, staking requirements, how delegation will work, etc., etc. There's a lot to consider, and we'll be working closely with all contributors to make it happen. Now, if this kind of thing is interesting to you, please join the conversation on the governance forum. For developers, we are uncompromising in our vision for what is possible on Beam. The Beam SDK really is at the heart of what we're doing here. SDKs allow developers to build things their way, but creating an SDK that's flexible enough to allow for that takes a lot of time, talent, and energy to pull off. We're focused on making sure that game developers are in the driver's seat, empowering and enabling gamers as they see fit, when they see fit. The blockchain should never dictate how a game is played. It should be serving to make gameplay better. The Beam SDK gives you programmatic control over accounts, buying and selling, swapping, sponsoring transactions, etc. Beam does not dictate how or even when the SDK should be used. For example, you can decide as the developer to create an account when a user first signs up, or maybe much further into their gaming experience. We want developers to maintain control over game design. The SDK has been designed to offer the flexibility required to build these imaginative games. A moment ago I mentioned transaction fees, or gas fees, and it's something that just can't be ignored. I know it's on your mind, it's part of the core problem with Web3 gaming today. To date, this problem has been put squarely on the shoulders of the gamer to not only have the token needed to pay for gas, but to also understand the fluctuations in gas prices. That does not sound like a fun way to game to us. So, with the Beam SDK, we're supporting two types of transactions. Sponsored transactions, where the game developer covers that fee for you, and player-paid transactions, where that in-game currency can cover the transaction without the gamer having to think about exchange fees or swapping. Let's be honest, I'm probably oversimplifying what the Merit Circle engineering team has built for you. If you're a developer, you can head to docs.onbeam.com to learn more about how you can use this incredible solution for your own game today. We really do feel that we're on the doorstep of a big change in gaming. And that's not because blockchains exist. It's because gamers are frustrated with the status quo. We do not get enough say in the games we love because we don't own any of it. The best we can do today is to vote with our dollars and simply not play a game in protest. A new era of dialogue between gamers that care and game developers that care is about to begin. The transparency and ownership that Web3 provides is the reason why I keep saying that we feel it's inevitable. Gaming is an art that transcends the boundaries of culture and language. It's always been more than just pixels on a screen. These experiences can pull the vast spectrum of emotion from us. The sense of betrayal when Shepard killed Roach and Ghost in Modern Warfare. The profound sense of loss from playing The Last of Us. That total sense of wonderment when you solve your first complex puzzle in Portal. These games enrich our lives and bind us together in a way that no other form of media has ever been able to. Now, if you want to experience a sense of belonging around your favorite musical artist, you can attend a concert or a festival. But that same sense of community with gaming is always at your fingertips. We really, really do care so much about gaming here at Merit Circle, and that's because we're all gamers too. It shows in everything we do, how we hang out with one another, on the phone calls we share together, and the stories that we tell. We know that you love games, we do too, and we're going to be here for a very long time to make sure that we can keep this connection and community gaming together. Community is at the heart of what we've always done at Merit Circle. Operating as a DAO has been a dream come true because all members share a love for one thing: games. It's always about the love for games.